Everyone know the concept about phase zero. I've seen it on a couple slides today, so I won't go into that. But this is some quick takeaways from the expert witness work we've done. For the vendors in the room, rarely do we see an implementation failed because of the system itself. Right. The technology will support typically the business when they go into it. The only thing that we have seen where we've run across functionality that was phantomware, that was supposed to be on roadmap that never transpired over multiple years and therefore would never meet the client's needs. Most of the time, if they do it right and they do a proper selection and requirements gathering and understanding the baseline, we can move forward with that technology. But still there's a need for firms like Third Stage or others, if you choose to use them, to help assist this roadmap. Help assist. It's very, very important. If nothing else, everyone needs a counselor in their camp. And so I have clients that want to talk about their executives, but there's no one they can talk to except for me. So we hear all kinds of stuff and they like that and they need that, and we adjust our decisions based upon that. 3 top causes discovered in our litigation. Shallow selections. We talked about this with a couple of you today and even yesterday around shallow selections. How did this start? And I have one of my cohorts in the back as well, and hopefully he doesn't start crying. But how did you come about selecting XYZ? Did you hire a firm? Did you go through a selection? Did you spend time understanding phase zero assessment? No, our CEO and CFO met the Oracle CEO at golf. Surprising, this Oracle conference was the very next week. We went and talked to him, had a great time. I think this stuff is show-stopping. We signed the contract next week. Goes from there, right? And then the project team, who is probably unaware that they were going to even do this project in the first place, gets called up, kick off, what the hell's going on, right? This isn't our process, we need to change it. You keep talking about out of the box, we're not going to do that. Stops right there very quickly. Week PM, so the underline here is be methodical. I am Agile certified, I understand the concepts, but when it comes to an enterprise system, I can't help but say screaming waterfall. I need documentation, I need stage gates. You can deliver and show the customer in a very Agile-like, but I need rigid approvals along the way. What we hear is, in fact, no one's in this room we have a client that hired us to do a system selection. We selected a system. They turned us down for PMO support. 6 months later, I get a call saying, I don't know where we are in this project. They say we're going live next month. I don't understand how. First time we talked to the SI, which we did not select, what does the project plan say? Well, we don't really have one. They kept going down there, right? So unless you stay on top of these SIs and even vendors to some extent, but mostly on the SIs, be methodical, demand documentation, and do not accept, and hopefully the vendors don't throw things at me, do not accept auto approval of key deliverables. Okay, we see that all the time as well. How did you go from here to here? Well, they never approved the stuff along the way, so we made the decisions on their behalf, and here's what we're showing them at UAT. Bad news, right? Be methodical, be on top of these guys. And organizational buy-in support, we talked about that earlier today and all throughout this day. We spend days, if not weeks, with the executives, and Eric stole my thunder of what do you want to be when you grow up, right? If we hear multiple disconnects, we're stopping. We're not going forward because this is going to fail immediately, right? So we need to hear consistent conversations, and then we need to hear it, for my OCM folks, we need to hear it down the line too. We do surveys as part of our assessment. If we start hearing and seeing and feeling the line workers, especially the VPs and middle management, disagree or dislike or don't follow the leadership, big red flags, right? Do not start this even if you need to replace the system. It will fail. I'll stop there. Do any of these ring true with any of your projects that you may have done internally and failed, right? Didn't talk about technology, didn't talk about, this is basic stuff, but it's the execution over years that will wipe you out, right? 3 months, not a problem. 3 years, these will become problems. So this is in a single slide, phase 0. We have a client that is an Infor client that has used Infor M3 worldwide for a decade. They thought, I have a legacy Infor product domestically. Makes sense just to deploy what we're using internationally, domestically. Year and a half later, The pushback was the executive support and the project team in the US and Canada don't see eye to eye about standard processes. So I'm trying to control when I talk to executives, not smile or just openly laugh when they say, keep it out of the box. But this was a failure of everything has to be out of the box. Nothing can go outside of the system. Stopped the project a year and a half, hired us to do a system, changed the dynamic of how this program was being run. We're now a year into it, and we actually started from 0 again. So first question, where's the project plan? Okay, where are your requirements? There's some over here and some over here, right? And so we actually said for this to be successful, we're gonna start from 0. We will go very fast in those sections of the project that has already been done and everyone agrees is complete, but we will slow down to a creep for those areas. So we went through requirements gathering again, okay? Only because not one person could give us a whole list of the requirements that were happening in that previous project, not one person. So we started off with the executive alignment. We started with that again, right? What do you want to do going up? The business case of doing this wasn't really necessary because everyone in the company, every single one in the company said we need to replace the system. It is so dated, we can't move forward. But going into the assessment of organizational ability and organizational strength, they had very limited, or do have limited training and OCM staff. Huge, right? We need to get our arms around that. As well as business processes. That's one thing that is kind of the gray area here. Do you spend time documenting all your as-is processes to then update them with the system or other systems that are doing it? Do you not do as-is, start doing the to-be processes during the implementation, or wait till you configure it, change other processes, and do the to-be, which are now the as-is, after the project is over? But we have executives that talk about process mining. I want data to drive what processes change. Well, if you haven't already started this initiative, you don't likely do that during the implementation. For the very reason I mentioned before, everyone's limited in resources. There's no one in hell that's going to be able to do that. And we were actually going to do that on this project, but we actually had to put it on hold because of the limited resources available. Everyone that we needed is going to be part of the main group already. Can't ask them to do processes as well. But one of the nice things out of the Infor platform is they have IPI and IPC combinations. So they'll have process mapping coming out of the future configuration, but our focus was all the processes around the system as well. Does somebody physically go to the warehouse and pick something up? Is it on a forklift? Is it a conveyor belt? We want to know all that to change that processes, right? So digging into a lot of that stuff as well. Technical, just understanding the universe. It's amazing for this same client. We didn't have a formal enterprise PMO office globally. So what we heard during the assessment was, I'm tired of this project because you keep saying I'm fully committed to it, but I'm working on these 5 other projects. We bring that information back to the executives. What other 5 projects? This is the most important project in the company's history. Why are you working on anything else? So we added a couple of resources to our team and started collecting all the project information going on worldwide to eventually lead to a formal submission process. But Joe, if I call you on it, we had 280, something like that. So to see the look on the CFO and CIOs and the president's eyes are like, what? And the funny thing is, humans will be humans, right? We have new projects being worked on that didn't follow that formal process that everyone has to follow. Still have renegades. And we're trying to get ahead of that for change management is to make sure that we focus on what we know is changing. But if there are projects going on that are going to change the environment and we're unaware of them, everyone's going to have egg on their face again, right? So the idea here is that you stay here, quite honestly, as long as you need to. Okay? Everything that we see in expert witness cases will be solved by answering and focusing on these areas. Period. Drop the mic if I had one in my hand, right?